Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another podcast, The Bad Boy's Secret. And this is yet another video, or podcast rather, brought to you by the generous donation of a supporter. And of course, if you want to maximize the chance of me actually addressing a question, well, my pockets need to be greased. Hey yo, it ain't personal, it's just business. Anyway, right, the bad boy's secret, right? And you know that's one of those things they be having a conference on. I think I've done a few videos talking about like the sex appeal aspect and something, but it's a bigger aspect to it, right? You know, it's a bigger aspect to it, right? Because the sex appeal thing is obvious, and you know people always say, well, they're hot and all of that, but you know you got regular dudes who are hot, right, to women. Right, you got as I said, you get some masters of the universe types. They getting theirs like crazy. But you know what it is. Understand the society we live in. Understand the society we live in. You basically have two worlds, and this is something I've talked about constantly. You got the surface world, the social world, and then you got the sexual world, which is the underworld. Now, according to social norms, right? A woman is supposed to, she's supposed to get up, look for a husband. Not supposed to have sex outside of marriage or limited sex. Once she get that husband, she ain't supposed to rock his world or anything. She, get that husband, be happy that he's like providing for her and protecting her and all of that stuff, obeying all of that. That social world is created by religion. That social world is created by social mores that develop and everything, right? And women in general, most women, they adhere to those social norms. But all women got that inner freak. All women want to go crazy. All women, that's when we run into women's sexual nature. Now, see, a lot of men, they think it's something wrong with the women, something pathological when they do this stuff. It's like, no, you're just seeing it from one perspective. That sexual nature is natural. Remember, a woman's primary nature is to mate with the best genetic material that she can attract to herself. That's it. That's nature, right? But when you get the social norms, right? The social norms don't necessarily allow for that. Or the social norms try to say that guy making six figures and is the CEO of something, happens to have a degree from some overpriced university. That's supposed to be the best, but that's a social thing. What that got to do with nature? Because the thing with the social norms, they could change. We have a major disaster or something, the government falls, the social norms might be different, right? We might get a situation, it's just like, and I've said this in another podcast, where it's about whoever got the bigger gun. Laws can change. Remember, probably nearly 90 years ago, 80 years ago, something like that, drinking alcohol was illegal. 20 years ago, people there weren't any states where somebody could smoke marijuana legally. Shoot, as recently as 10 years ago. Now you got states, they can be out in public and everything, right? So that's a social thing. Laws are social things, but they can change. You might have a situation where, and I expect this to happen, prostitution is legalized, right? So that's another social change. All of a sudden, somebody can be on the cover of Inc. It's like, how they built up their prostitution business. Got some man or woman on there, just smiling and stuff. In another social situation, they might have either been broke or, on there for a totally different business. But that's a social thing. So that changes. That changes with laws, changes in religion. If you get the Pope decide, hey, this is okay to do, they do it. Or churches, they have one of their conventions say, hey, you know what, we down for this. Like gay marriage is another thing. Most churches were against it. Probably some still are. But then others say, hey, they all God's children. That's a social thing, right? And women adhere to that, but it changes. But the thing that don't change is that sexual thing. And it hasn't changed. That's why I kind of laugh when people try to act like the game has changed in, like in the last few years. I say no. Some social things have changed, but the game is still the game. The game is still the game because women still want sex. The only difference between now and then, women hid shit better. There were a lot. And I have somebody, because I got people who do research for me. Like, believe it or not, I just don't talk off the top of my head. Like, if I haven't done it personally, somebody else is doing the research. And there were a lot more abortions before Roe v. Wade. Women were still getting down. The abortions just weren't safe in most cases. All right? They weren't safe. Roe v. Wade was more about having safe abortions. But they were still having them. And then plus there were some natural birth control methods that, some country folk could use, right? So, there was, people were still getting down. That sexual face is still there. Now, how that relate to the bad boy? The bad boy is bad because he goes against social norms. And usually when going against social norms, they usually have to do with sex. Because most of these social norms out here are to keep sexuality under control. All right. So what the bad boy does, he goes against it. Like the typical bad boy, whether he's a criminal or whether he's just contrary or whether he's that person who's just not polite, goes against social norms. Right. So when women see that guy, even if it helps if he's like, it helps if they find him physically attractive. He got a nice physical appearance. It definitely helps if he got that sex appeal. That's a big part of it. But the thing that gets him over is he frees the women. That's why they mess with the bad boy, because the bad boy has already shown he don't follow social norms. When it comes to sex, women don't want to follow social norms. So they'll look for that guy. They'll skip over, and this is what a lot of guys don't get. They'll skip over that guy who's a good citizen, who goes to church all the time, who might even be handsome. That's the thing. He might even be handsome and do all that. But see, the guy doesn't let them be free sexually. Right? The bad boy say, girl, you can do that. Girl, you want to swallow this joint? Fine. Girl, you want it up your ass? Fine. Whatever the bad boy will do, he just breaks social norms. So that excites the woman. All of a sudden she meets this guy and she say, she ain't never suck a dude's dick. All of a sudden, and the guys she usually mess with, they good church guys. They like, oh, that's nasty. I don't want that to happen. Right? Or at least those guys don't want it to happen from a woman that they look at as a potential mother and wife. They still want it to happen, but that's another video. Right? No, they look for it, they meet that guy and say, look, I ain't gonna judge you for it. Go ahead and do it. Boom. He's in there. That's why, that dude who is sincerely bad, not that he's evil, but he's only going against the social norm. He's a rebel. And so the woman's like, shoot, I can do my thing. Then that's usually what the women would do. They'll do their thing, but they won't marry that bad boy. They won't take him out with them. But he's attractive for that one reason. Even if he's average looking. He can be average looking, but he give that impression like she can do her thing. Or she can, he'll get out there, get that belt out and whip her ass. Or she feel like he'll do some of the stuff that her regular guy won't do. It could be something as simple as eating a pussy. That dude gonna get down there. He gonna prop a pillow under his neck, go for it. She gonna look at that. And that's one of the main things. That opens her up. Then she don't have to worry about judgment. She don't worry about having sex with some guy and then he come back like, oh you had sex with me too quick. She feel like the bad boy is just gonna let her be free. That's it. That is it. A lot of people, and I've said this before. I've had not necessarily online, but some guys disagreed with me and they saying all this. That's because they looking at it from the wrong angle. They looking at it from the social angle. And as I pointed out, social norms change with different laws. You can change just, a new president can come in. We can get like some different people in Congress. All of a sudden, we got some different social norms than like 5 years from now. We got different social norms. So, and that's all people are asking women to do is like stick to them. But the reality is, at their core, they want that alpha dick. Right? And it doesn't hurt that some bad boys might be construed as alpha males. Some. But sometimes they don't even need that. As long as he is the type who can be discreet, they're going to be like, yeah. And sometimes women that even talk to a guy to see where he at. Like if he act like, oh, I wouldn't do that and all that, they lose interest. Women will lose interest if you act like you ain't down for sex. You know, that's why sometimes it's just better to let her know or bring it up early in the conversation just to gauge her. All right? You know, if she feel like you prudish or something, she might think you cute or handsome or whatever, may be a good husband, but then she'll like wait 90 days for you. And that's so much that she wants to wait 90 days, but she got to play that image with you. The bad boy don't care. She can have sex with the bad boy the first night and he ain't judging her on it. So anyway, that's the bad boy's secret. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. Peace and blessings.